why I was delighted that Mary McClimate did my introduction. I don't know how much of that is really true, but thank you. And there is real symmetry for me to have my career with street law and an amazing friendship begin 35 years ago with Mary McClimate as the first of 7 interviews it took me to get the job. If I was so fabulous, why didn't they see it on the first interview? I'd also like to tell you that my mother is here, who flew, I won't tell you how old she is, but it was a challenge. She flew by herself out here from Indiana. And my daughter, Elizabeth, I wonder if you could figure out which is the film student sitting at that table. So I thank them both for making the effort to come here and share this evening with me, because it means a lot to me. I have spent 35 years committed to street law. I think of Ed O'Brien's story when he cornered Desmond Tutu in the gift shop in Kenya when he was changing planes, and after he ranted about street law, Desmond Tutu said to him, "Good luck with your missionary work." And I must say, that's kind of how I feel about street law. I thought that I went back to, I'm one of those people that takes pictures along the way, you know. I thought I would pull out a few of my old pictures to highlight just a few of the moments that have meant something to me in my 35 years with street law. So, get that picture off the wall. This just characterizes that first efforts that I made where law students at Georgetown went out into the DC prisons at Morton, and they're doing a mock trial. That program, as Mary explained, expanded into the corrections staff, and I also expanded into the criminally insane and the civilly committed mental patients. And clearly, street law was not trying to make everyone in that audience a lawyer. Although I have some funny stories about that. But this program fit in with my value system, and that was to help people create possibilities for themselves, regardless of where they found themselves. And also within a government system that operates on the rule of law. And so street law programs focus on helping people understand the legal system that they've been very much involved with, to help them have skills to negotiate their circumstances, to learn how to use words to resolve conflict rather than other options that have been available to them in the past. When I left street law as a staff member, Rick Rowe took over the street law corrections. He's here tonight, and he transformed it and made it his own, and has done a great job with that program. So, good job with that, Rick. Then I thought I'd highlight a photo from the Kingdom of Lesotho. This was on the steps of the palace. The king is in the upper left-hand side. The queen has the head dress on. And this program began because Ed O'Brien decided to expand street law to an international audience. And he went to several countries in southern Africa, and when he met up with the king of Lesotho, Moshoeshoe II, the king threatened to shut the airport down. I think the king was kidding, but it was never totally clear that he wanted street law for his people. And so Ed said, well, if you let me out, I will find the right person to come back and do this. So I spent a year with setting up street law in Lesotho, adapting the street law text. I will tell you, I had no idea what I was getting in for. I had no idea whether these young people in an African rural kingdom would be interested in the content of law, would be interested in doing those interactive strategies that characterize street law, and it was incredibly successful. In fact, we'll go to the next picture. This is the first international mock trial competition that took place, and I had the justices, I showed them the DC street law video, and they're like, well, that's America. And then they saw what their own students can do, and they were blown away. And I'm still in touch with the Chief Justice of the High Court in Maseru, and he says the texts are still in use in Lesotho, so I'm a long time ago. And then on to the next picture. As an advocate, I get asked to and look for opportunities where I can promote street law. And this is one session I did with the Chief Justices of all the state Supreme Courts. And it's always interesting to explain what street law is. How many here, since you all have a connection to street law, have ever been asked, what is street law? You know, let's see some hands out there. Even my secretary at the law school, and I've had her a long time, I had sewer troubles recently, and she said, will you do street law? And this is one of the mock trials that I do. I have about 300 high school students a semester, and I've done it now for 30 years at Seattle U, and this is just one of the mock trials that we do down in the court. Then we'll go to the next photo there. And this is a visit by, I've had many Japanese judges. They're the most current group that are interested in having street law, and I work with them, and they're interested in youth courts as well. And we're sitting with Isidore Starr. Many of you may know him. He is the father of law-related education, is turning 100 this year, and I'm organizing his national birthday party, so that'll be fun. And then the last picture is, one of the things I got asked by the judges in my state is, you know, you have this program where law students go out into the schools, but the law schools can't reach all these schools that we have in our state. So I've recruited judges, paired them with teachers, trained them through funding from the Washington Judges Foundation. We're able to buy a classroom set of the books. And these are the sites where we've got sitting judges go in once a week to teach the high school students. Okay, I want to move on to just say some specific thank yous. I've been a member of the Seattle Kung Fu Club for a long time, and one of the things that's on the rules of the martial arts is to recognize those people from whom you have learned. And there are some very significant people in this room for me, and I'm not going to be able to name them all, but Ed O'Brien, collaborator on many programs in corrections in Southern Africa and in presentations around the country. Lee Arbitman. And in addition to having a full room in a difficult economic time, you have built the street law to be recognized by all kinds of important people, and I take my hat off to you. I'd also like to acknowledge his great skills as being a teacher and a writer. They're very strong. And then lastly, I'll mention Jason Newman, who is, I'm not sure where he is, but he, of course, was the crazy law professor that managed to pull a fast one and get with his political skills to get the law school to agree to have law students get credit as part of their law school education to go into a high school and teach street law. So we thank you for that, Jason. Okay, and then the last thing I'd like to say is that in these times when civic education is disappearing from school curricula, when people's disconnect from government seems only greater. I heard someone talking in a room about Mr. Congress and trying to figure out who Mr. Congress was. And that's a true story. There are other people in here who have very solid programs, the iCivics program that I work with and a variety of other ones. But I wanted to say street law, I have found, always captures students' interests. The topics relate to their lives. The methods are ones they want to participate, and they learn from that. So keep up your support, everyone in this room, for street law, and thank you for my award. I appreciate it.